don't want to scare anyone, but a black woman has never been the final girl in a Friday the 13th movie. Now, I know talking about race sometimes can make white folks uncomfortable. And trust me, there's nothing more important to me than the comfort of white folks. But I think it's important, before we get to this list of the worst to best Friday the 13th final girls, that we address the elephant in the room. Now, let's talk reparations. Now, Friday the 13th is unique compared to its slasher competition like Scream and Halloween and Nightmare on Elm Street, in that it does not feature a returning star protagonist or final girl in the same way that Jamie Lee Curtis keeps returning to Halloween and Neve Campbell and Courtney Cox keep returning to Scream. Even The Nightmare on Elm Street had the character of Nancy Thompson, who appeared in 4 entries. But when it comes to Friday the 13th, the only Friday the 13th final girl to ever appear in 2 movies had this happen to her before the opening credits of part 2. And even though Halloween is my favorite franchise, the Friday the 13th movies, they're a blast to review because they're kind of the stupidest out of all the franchises. What I mean is, like, Halloween tends to take itself very seriously. And A Nightmare on Elm Street, they distract you with a lot of fantastical imagery. And Scream makes fun of itself. But the Friday the 13th movies, they are the most disposable movies with the most disposable final girls. That's why they're a blast to riff on. Now, there have been 12 final girls in the Friday the 13th movies, not to mention the final boys like Tommy Jarvis, Reggie the Reckless, and all those final girls' dumbass boyfriends that started making it to the end after like part 5. And even though some final girls have survived with final boys, there has never been a Friday the 13th final boy to survive the wrath of Jason alone. Basically, he needs her. She don't need him. Now, when it comes to your favorite anything, it is subjective. Your mileage may vary. But I did try to grade the Friday 13 final girls using somewhat objective criteria, which I feel is crucial in ranking Jason's adversaries. Number 1. Likability. As the final girl, I'm going to be spending the entire film with this character. She needs to be likable. If there are other female characters that are more likable or more relatable than the final girl, and they die and she lives, the final girl loses points. Number 2, heart. Is she brave? Does she keep a clear and present frame of mind in the face of danger? Or does she freak the fuck out? Is she proactive? Does she understand the concept of a best defense is a good offense? Number 3, resourcefulness. Does she use the environment to her advantage? Does she pick up weapons that make sense? Or does she throw spools of twine at the killer? Number 4, intelligence. Is she smart? Is she cunning? Or is she just written that way? 5th and most important category, of course, is threat level. All Jasons are not created equal, and Jason ain't even in all these movies. Is the final girl battling cunning backwoods Jason? Still alive and will run after your ass Juggernaut Jason? Teleporting zombie Jason? Body swapping slug Jason? Was she fighting somebody's mama? Was she matching wits with the deranged ambulance driver? I'm a human being with particular taste. I gave myself 2 wild cards out of this list of 12. One guilty pleasure final girl. This might be a final girl that a lot of people don't like, and objectively I probably shouldn't like, but for whatever reason I like her or she grew on me. And one hating card, where I absolutely don't like a final girl that's popular with a lot of fans, just because I'm hating on her.
12.
Number 12, Rennie.
Rennie.
Hi, Sean.
I heard you weren't coming.
Rennie is like the Tylenol PM of Final Girls.
So what do you think? Time for some personal experiences to fuel our minds?
Rennie is boring as hell.
Jesus. Have you guys seen my dog? I think he came this way.
I googled, yeah, and Rennie's social security number came up.
What are you doing here?
Please don't be upset with me.
And I don't care how tragic your backstory is. I'm not rooting for nobody that's dressed like they just got backstage passes to a Bananarama concert.
Rennie, why are you doing this to yourself?
I don't even know what I'm afraid of, Uncle Charles.
Now, Rennie's chief sin is she is bland as hell, and that's nothing against her actress Jensen Daggett. Jensen Daggett sounds like classic Battlestar Galactica /fic.
What to say?
Then they tacked on this generic backstory about how she encountered Jason when she was a child, which wouldn't even match up with any type of timeline. 8 movies in and they adding this stupid backstory, executed horribly. The first half of the movie, Rennie is boring as hell, just being a victim of her delusions and classmates, or witnessing the goings-on around her. Then when they get to New York, she continues to be a victim of her delusions and some faux thugs, and she gets shot up with cocaine. Now, I've seen some reviewers refer to it as meth, and some claim it's heroin. Now, she acting like she tripping on acid, but the dude clearly says,
I'm just slanging some more cane, Jojo. We got a half load here.
so who am I to argue with his rapey drug of choice? Once she's properly geeked, she immediately kills the closest friend she has. She doesn't really have a chance to fight Jason. She can't even kick him off a ladder when she has gravity on her side and one of those movie tropes. And in the end, she just throws a bucket of toxic waste in his face.
Christ.
But Rennie just ends up being the most boring final girl in the most boring entry of Friday 13th franchise.
11.
Hey, it looks like you.
No, it doesn't.
First of all, Whitney's kind of a combination of 2 characters from part 2, Sandra and Ginny. That's right, Whitney's half her and half her. What could go wrong? Now, Whitney commits many Final Girl sins, like being blown off the screen by Jared Padalecki and Danielle Panabaker.
I mean, this guy's being a dick.
And it's not even the actor's fault. She does what she can with what she's given. She's not annoying. She's just introduced, seemingly killed off. Then she's revealed to be alive. And then she spends the entire movie held captive by Jason. Since when has Jason ever spent time with anyone who's alive? She acting like she in a Wrong Turn or a Texas Chainsaw Massacre film. Yes, she took care of her ailing mother, but all I saw the entire film was a prisoner. And why does this movie keep telling us all the supposedly wonderful things about Whitney as opposed to show us? Show movie, don't tell. And Clay's character, he's the only person describing her, and he is not an objective narrator about his own sister. You know, it's his sister, so of course he's going to say nice things about her. Remember when the OG version of the Clay character from the final chapter, he tried to sell Trish on how the OG version of Whitney, named Sandra, was such a good kid?
My sister Sandra was just a really great kid.
Well, she was good at something. All I know about Whitney is what her brother says. Her friends at the beginning of the film are annoying as hell. I know that, but I don't know this girl. Now, the girl I do know, the one I have followed this entire film, she gets killed in place of Whitney. And had Danielle Panabaker's character Jenna survived in Whitney's place, she would not have had this horrible line reading at the end.
Jason! Say hi to Mommy! In hell!
Whitney gets home from the hospital. She needs to sit down and write Jenna's family a letter of condolence, apologizing for her continued existence.
You okay, bro? Is everything good?
10.
Okay, number 10 is Lori from Freddy vs. Jason. Lori's final girl superpower is silly histrionics.
No, Lori! Oh my God, Lori! Lori, honey, wake up! Stop it! Lori!
You fell asleep.
Lori's main problem is she's not really a Friday 13th final girl. She's a Nightmare on Elm Street final girl. And she's barely that. So by default, Lori should be number 12. So that just goes to show you how much I hate Rennie and Whitney.
Which one had the super bad toupee here?
But Lori still kind of sucks. Bless her heart, I just can't take this character seriously. She has an annoying voice, she's silly, she's always freaking out, she's always falling out. Then they had the unmitigated gall to name this character Lori, bringing to mind Laurie Strode from Halloween. This Lori, she's like the anti-Laurie Strode. Lori is just too hysterical. She almost plays like a parody of a final girl sometimes. The way she's always freaking out, then running off, she reminds me of Brenda in Scary Movie.
Thank you, no!
You want some free advice? Coffee. Make friends with it. Mark! You're scaring me.
You call the police, and I'll kill you myself.
Anyway, Lori has some convoluted backstory involving Freddy, not Jason, and it's not terribly compelling, and there are so many characters helping her, she just becomes kind of irrelevant. She serves mainly as a damsel in distress for much of this movie. Now, she does come up with the idea to beat both Jason and Freddy, so she gets some points for that, and her best friend is black, so she gets some points for that. I was honestly surprised when Kelly Rowland's character died. I figured if she can survive Tina and Matthew Knowles, she can survive Freddy and Jason.
He has ruined both of our paths, and I am not leaving until I see him die.
Send.
9.
Okay, Jessica Kimball from Jason Goes to Hell. Jessica Kimball, she's like the biological version of the term meh. Jessica Kimball is one of those final girls that purely seems incidental. She's just there. She's the daughter of what, Jason's sister? I don't know. This is the movie that decided the Voorhees had a lore and Jason's relatives were now important.
Voorhees can he be reborn, and only a Voorhees can kill him.
And also, Jason wasn't a backwoods monster. He was a body-hopping, whatever the hell that thing was. Jessica is trapped in a weird entry surrounded by an incredibly interesting and talented cast of characters. And this is where one of the problems lies. Jessica is surrounded by other characters that are more interesting and likable than she is. Jessica is a plot point. She has a kid, so she's someone's mama. She's someone's daughter. She's someone's fiance. But I don't know who she is, and she doesn't really have a personality. Jessica seems to have the social skills of Pink Eye. Now, what I do like about Jessica is this. Throughout this film, if any character tries to grip her up, get in her way or handle her physically, at any time, Jessica will hit you.
Look what you fucking done! Give me the baby, Joey! Fuck you!
It don't matter who it is. You put your hands on Jessica and she finna hit you dead in your eye. So she gets respect for that.
God, I love this woman.
Yeah.
Great and do.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, everything and everyone has a price. And the cost of this is very, very high.
Now, what's it?
8.
Okay, Rowan from Jason X. Let's see, Rowan. First of all, stupid name. Did Mia Farrow adopt her or something? Is she one of them kids Mia Farrow adopted that did not marry her husband? Now, the tragic thing about Rowan is in a different film, she could have been an excellent final girl. but as it were, she is the star of Jason X, a movie that has about 30 characters fighting Jason. So Rowan just comes across as less of a final girl and more like a key member of a group of folks who went on a space adventure. And that's what this film feels like, a space adventure B-movie with a few slasher trappings included in the mix. And it's a shame too, because Rowan had potential. As the director of the Crystal Lake Research Facility, Rowan could have been Jason's first truly corporate final girl. Rowan is proactive, she can use a weapon, so why is she so low on this list? She's so low because Rowan only got to act like a final girl and truly be a badass in like the first 10 minutes of the film.
I take it being stabbed and frozen wasn't part of your plan.
Once we get to space, she kind of gets lost in the sauce among all the scientists, the Marines, the robots. After like the first 20 minutes, Rowan's life never truly feels in jeopardy. She literally has a platoon of soldiers defending her. Not to mention super robots and all her friends. The threat level to Rowan seems zilch, and Rowan was fighting an upgraded Uber Jason in space. A film has to truly fail its final girl if it can't make that scenario suspenseful. There is indeed safety in numbers, and Rowan lets others die and fight for her.
He's dead.
Sarge, you're gonna body in Bay 2.
Now compare that to some of the early final girls like Alice or Chris, who by the time they realize there was a problem, every other character is already dead. Those chicks can't simply survive by not drawing attention to themselves like Rowan did.
Now, I know this is a huge shock.
And once again, all the money shots in the movie, all the, people doing cool shit, it was never Rowan. It was always other characters around her. And that's, the ultimate final girl fail.
I don't think he's out there.
Why don't you just stick your head out and have a peek?
7.
This is Alice.
Hi. Steve, cabin B's all ready.
Okay, I said I was going to hate on one of these chicks that a lot of people like, and I choose...
This is Alice.
Alice's special final girl power is the inability to emote on screen. Now, there's no real way to put this delicately, but the character of Alice, I simply don't believe her. I don't believe her when she's supposed to be having fun. I don't believe her when she's supposed to be scared.
You did last night.
So the original Friday the 13th, it gets criticized a lot for being boring. And one of the criticisms I saw somebody say, you have to watch a character make coffee, for like 10 minutes. You know how people say Angela Bassett is such a good actress, she makes making coffee look interesting? Well, Adrienne King is no Angela Bassett. Adrienne King ain't even Angela from Sleepaway Camp.
You have got to be kidding.
And again, nothing against Adrienne King. I'm not only blaming Adrienne King for Alice's shortcoming. The writer and the director obviously has some responsibility for the performance. According to that book and a couple other YouTube videos, Adrienne King was sleeping with the director Sean Cunningham while his wife was editing the movie.
When did you do this?
Last night.
Allegedly. And I didn't write the book, I just read it. In the book, some crew claimed she was sleeping with director Sean Cunningham and wielded that power on set.
Thanks. I wish I had more time to do it.
My favorite Adrienne King anecdote is when in the climax of the film, young Jason jumps out the water and grabs Alice. The 11-year-old actor playing Jason came out of the water too soon, and Adrienne King reportedly screamed at him, "Not now, you stupid fuck."
Thanks. I wish I had more time to do it.
The other girls in this movie were more likable and interesting than Alice. And I'm sorry, yes, Alice manages to eventually cut off Jason Mama's head, but before that, Alice, you let someone's mama smack the shit out of you. And right after that, you let somebody's mama smack the shit out of you again. I just never believed Alice as a character. Now, things I did like about her. I liked that she tried to fit in. She was friendly, but honestly, even that, the other characters seemed to have more chemistry when Alice wasn't around. What else? I like that she did help out around the camp, but again, even then, the first time we see her, she is carrying a broom and a bucket. Not a mop and a bucket, not a broom and a dustpan like a normal person. This chick is carrying around a broom and a bucket. I don't believe you were cleaning, Alice. I don't believe you.
You did last night.
And again, with Alice, the threat level, Alice has so much trouble fighting this middle-aged lady. I got the same sweater Jason Mama had. When it comes to environmental fighting, Alice could really use some pointers from somebody like Chris. I mean, right before the final battle, she's picking up like spools of yarn and throwing them at her. At one point, she throws something at Jason's mama's face. I don't know what it is. It might be like an eraser or something. And Jason's mama's reaction is this. She's like, If you're fighting for your life, okay, somebody's trying to kill you, and whatever you choose to pick up and throw at somebody's face, their reaction is this. You failed. You want to die. And again, no disrespect or hate to these actresses. I'm sure they heard it all before. I am just giving you my personal opinion, and your mileage may vary.
6. Hi, my name is Pam Roberts. I'm the assistant director.
Now, no Friday the 13th Final Girl has grown on me more than Pam from Part 5, A New Beginning. Pam from Part 5 is officially my guilty pleasure Final Girl.
Would you shut the fuck up?
Pam is probably the least developed, least empathic, least caring Final Girl in the Friday the 13th history.
I noticed.
Yet somehow that still makes her likable to me.
Played by Marco St. John. We're in the hospital. He's now explaining the whole thing to me, who was chasing me and the motive and who this person was.
I guess when he was called to the scene and he saw that it was his own Joey all hacked to pieces.
Got these clippings and shows me a mugshot of Jason. Like, they got a mugshot of Jason.
There is something subversive going on with Pam, and she acts like she's maybe in witness protection, like she maybe has a drug problem and she copped a plea deal, and now she ends up at Crystal Lake on the lam. Watch Melanie Kinnaman's performance with that context and tell me that the character doesn't work better. Pam is the give no fucks Final Girl, and I'm here for it. And why am I here for it? Well, at least two other characters are better developed and get more screen time than Pam, yet Melanie Kinnaman still gets top billing. I love diva shit like that.
Would you shut the fuck up?
Now, the only thing we know about Pam is her name, Pam Roberts.
I'm glad you're here.
Which again, she says like it's an alias, and her job. And boy, does she not give a shit about her job. She talks to everyone like she's annoyed by their presence.
Morning, everybody.
Morning.
She shouldn't be this high. But at the same time, when she's in all black spaces, she doesn't act any different. She doesn't pander to Reggie's brother Demon when he offers a minor in her care alcohol. She doesn't react at all because Pam is the give no fucks Final Girl, and I'm here for it. Now, when fights and arguments do occur with her minor residents, she just kind of sits there until someone else shows up to ask what's going on.
Place for a dead person.
I said I was sorry.
What's going on here?
Even in the smaller moments, there's a scene after one of her residents murders another resident. Pam is supposed to be comforting a girl, and you know, two characters are talking in the foreground, she's in the background, but watch Pam as she strokes this girl's head. She's looking off to the side. She don't give a shit about this girl. Pam is looking for a cigarette. Even when she's supposed to be comforting, you know, protecting Reggie, her performance suggests she's more pissed at him for getting her into the situation than she is interested in helping him get out of it.
What is it, Reggie? It's Pam. What's the matter? What's the matter? It's me. What is it? What is it?
And then it hit me. Pam has a drug problem. Pam is an addict. Pam is a recovering addict.
I noticed.
And Reggie's brother Demon, that's Pam's plug.
Oh my God, well, get your ass in here, boy!
Pam uses her position and authority in the guise of spending time with Reggie to get drugs. That's a brilliant stunt, and she will be honored here for it.
Would you shut the fuck up?
Now, when it actually comes time to fight Jason, Pam didn't even fight Jason. Pam fought Roy, the ambulance driver. Oh, spoiler alert. And she had the help of both Tommy Jarvis and Dudley from Different Strokes. Pam should not be this high on the list. She didn't do anything amazing or memorable. All the cool action scenes were given to others. She shouldn't be this high. You know, this character, she just re-upped with Demon to get more drugs. Pam is high as hell. When she grabs Reggie and she goes,
What's the matter? It's me. What is it? What is it?
Reggie, like me, is probably thinking, she shouldn't be this high. Let's just say that in much the same way Friday the 13th, A New Beginning, has gained fans over time, Pam has aged like fine wine. And I can now find many, many reasons to like this character.
What's wrong? No sense of humor? Can't you take a joke?
5.
Decapitated his vengeful mother. And you do know what today's date is, don't you? And I can think of only one thing, even more terrifying.
What?
Yeah, the kids are here.
Okay, Megan. I like Megan. Megan is one of the few Queen Bee final girls. Most final girls are not the Queen Bee of their central friend group. Most final girls are outsiders.
I'm Trish. Hi, Trish. Hi.
This is Alice.
Hi.
Characters like Megan are usually the bitch or the whore or both. Now, Megan defies these norms by being the central alpha in her group of friends. Megan truly is a unique final girl. Her daddy is the sheriff, so she should be that blonde, spoiled, privileged character. And at first she kind of is.
Let you know if I hear anything about your camp leaders.
Don't beat him up too bad, Dad. He's kind of cute.
Now, the only Queen Bee final girls besides Megan are Lori and Chris. And Chris, even though she was the alpha of her friend group, she was still kind of an outsider within her peers. And Lori is a Freddy Krueger Queen Bee, not a Jason one. And Megan is the only final girl in the entire franchise that has to protect actual children at the camp from his wrath.
We don't know what to do.
And all the little kiddies arrived today. We're not ready to deal with that alone.
She's like the cheerleader final girl.
Is this gonna be the best weekend ever?
I sympathize with you kids.
But Megan is a lot of things. She's also funny, she's kind, she's flirtatious, she's cute, and she's rebellious.
Megan, stay away from him. He's dangerous.
Not dangerous.
Megan is also the fuck the police final girl.
Let him out of there, Rick.
Megan, don't clown around.
I'm not the one with the funny red nose.
I also like how she really never loses her charm and positive attitude, at least until Jason kills her father.
Jason who?
But once the shit hits the fan, Megan uses her privilege and the position of power to help Tommy oppose the system. Now, I'm not sure if Megan is an anti-vaxxer, but I am absolutely sure that Megan is an anti-waxer.
It's gonna be a hairy turn. Hang on.
Rock all night, gonna blow this town. Tomorrow night, going round and round.
Now, if Megan loses any points, it's because she did have a lot of help fighting Jason from Tommy Jarvis, from her daddy, the sheriff, and the entire police force, but Megan lasted longer than all of them. In the climax of the film, Megan not only finishes off Jason with a motorboat blade, but since Tommy was unable to finish, she also rescues him from drowning, performs movie CPR on him, and this makes her the only Friday the 13th final girl camp counselor to ever use actual camp counselor life-saving techniques in one of these films.
That's what I want.
As soon as we finished watching The New Blood, I looked at my dude and I said,
I'm really stoned.
And I realized I couldn't remember anything I just saw. And I told him, we gotta watch this whole motherfucker again. So he said,
I hate you! I wish you were dead!
Now, Tina kicks Jason's ass like no final girl before or after. There are hardly any moments in this film where she is terrorized or on the ropes. Once the fight starts, Tina pretty much drags Jason's ass up and down Crystal Lake. And Tina doesn't have to just deal with any Jason Voorhees. Tina has to deal with the Kane Hodder Jason Voorhees in his debut as Jason. A freshly undead, pissed off, zombie, teleporting, spine sticking out your back, Jason Voorhees. And it's a good thing she fights so well too, because all of Tina's final girl points, they stem from her ability to fight off Jason. She seems kind of friendly, but also kind of disingenuous.
Hi. Hi. I'm Tina from next door. I know.
She gets invited to a party held by people she doesn't know, gets one of her visions, which causes her to drop her drink on the floor and just run out the house without grabbing a Swiffer or saying my bad.
Tina, wait a minute, come back here.
Who is that girl?
So her powers kill her dad. They can't save her mom. But when that hating ass broad Melissa try her, she's able to de-accessorize her telekinetically. So Tina actually gets points for that pettiness. Her powers are also very strange. She has psychic abilities, but they're like post-cognition. She basically gets visions of people after they got killed by Jason. That is both useless and horrifying. Did you know that they call Friday the 13th the New Blood Fry-Gay the 13th due to all of the gay actors that worked on that movie?
It's a matter of some curiosity that at this point in time, the fan base knows it as Fry-Gay the 13th, Part 7. We were kind of aware that a large number of the male members of the cast may indeed some females.
Years into the future, the entire galaxy is populated by highly evolved protozoa.
Thanks a lot.
Good, huh?
I hate you! I wish you were dead!
3.
Now, Chris from Part 3, like Pam from Part 5, is the final girl that really grew on me over the years. Unlike Pam, Chris has a lot of fans. She's a lot of people's #1 final girl from Friday the 13th, and I absolutely see why. Chris stars in Part 3 in 3D, so all of her melodrama is in the third dimension.
My parents started yelling at me and cursing me.
Chris is the first, but not the last final girl in the series that they tried to tag some lame backstory onto. And just like Rennie's half-baked backstory in Part 8, this one makes absolutely no sense.
Behind me.
So apparently Chris had been attacked by Jason years earlier, and it's slightly suggested that he may have sexually assaulted her. Why? That's never been Jason's MO. I mean, what's next? He gonna capture chicks and keep them in cages? Now, most of the love that Chris gets from fans comes from her incredible fight sequence and the chase scene with Jason at the end of the film. And it truly is one of the franchise's best. Chris is the best environmental fighter of any final girl, using weapons she has to pull out of her friends' dead bodies, an axe, a bookcase. She hangs Jason with a rope. Chris is smart. Chris is stealthy. Chris is one of those final girls I mentioned earlier who has to deal with all of this horror completely alone. By the time she realizes anything is amiss, everyone, all her friends, her man, everybody dead. Now that's a final girl for you. Now, just as most fans' love for Chris comes from her fight with Jason, most of the criticism directed at her has to do with her performance, which some have called wooden, and I think that's kind of unfair. Friday the 13th Part 3 was across the board the worst acted film in the franchise, and that's saying something.
Today, you know what? I like you. I like you a lot.
But that to me has always kind of added to the appeal of the film. The characters in this 3D outing are really and truly treated like biological special effects. Now, they are all likable, but they're all also cardboard cutouts. So when we have to see them die in 3D, it's more fun than truly disturbing. For truly disturbing, see part 4. Plus, the writing and directing can contribute to her performance. So while yes, Dana Kimmel probably didn't deserve a SAG award, she did fine with her assignment. And her assignment was get that freaking axe in Jason's head. Now, like Pam before her, I started paying attention to Chris's quieter moments as the years went on, and I really started to like her. Now, Chris reminds me of one of those, goody-goody Christian girls, but she's so much fun to be around, so all of her friends are kind of degenerates. I know a couple chicks like that. So while she doesn't like to drink or smoke or fornicate with everyone else, she still has a diverse group of friends, and they do like to do that stuff.
Is this your rubber? What happens when you're pregnant?
Just pay attention to her reactions when they are partying. At one point, it looks like they are getting pulled over with a pound of weed in her van. And it's her van, and she's driving, but she doesn't really freak out. She doesn't really overreact or tell the others how to live.
A hammock? You might like it.
Chris's only strike against her is, in the end, it looks like although she physically survived the killer, at the end of the movie, Jason broke this woman psychologically. Now, to be fair, the way that Chris was acting at the end of the movie, that's the exact way I would be acting after Shelley pulled his first prank. Now, Trish barely edges out Chris from part 3, basically because Trish does everything Chris does, but she has the added handicap of having to protect her little brother. And Trish survives her encounter unbroken, unlike Chris, who...
Would you lighten up on her? She's all right.
And Trish's mama got killed, but she still seems somewhat sane in the hospital. Trish Jarvis also embodies some of the best qualities from the 3 final girls before her. She's friendly and likable, sweet, but also kind of separate from the doomed group.
Hi, Trish. Hi.
Trish knows just how to play these kids she don't know. No, she will not go skinny dipping with y'all, but yes, maybe she will go to the party. The film also constantly shows us that Trish is in service to her family in a healthy way. She tries to improve relations between her divorced parents.
Talk to Dad. How is he?
She drives Tommy to town to get stuff for his computer. I also like how, although she is protective of her kid brother, she doesn't talk down to him. She knows Tommy is smarter than most little kids, and she has confidence in his abilities.
Can you fix it? Stay here and fix the lights.
Now, when it comes to fighting Jason, Trish has a pretty big challenge. After all that buildup, Rob is absolutely no help at all. Basically, when the chips are down, Rob's a chip.
What's your problem?
And I love how Trish just stands there and watches Jason kill Rob. Now, when Jason grabs her little brother... Now, Trish is almost as a good environmental fighter as Chris. She uses whatever she can get her hands on to take on Jason. Now, the only area Trish Jarvis slightly loses points is she won't cross dead bodies. Instead of going out the door like a sane person, she takes a longer and more difficult route. Trish also has to battle a running, nasty, mean-spirited juggernaut Jason. Literally the last depiction of Jason as a somewhat human before being impersonated in part 5 and then resurrected as a teleporting, rotting zombie Jason in part 6.
You know, it'd be nice to have some company.
Chris also has the benefit of being in my favorite and a lot of fans' favorite entry in the franchise, Friday the 13th, the final chapter. She's just a practical, nice, down-to-earth character.
You know, it'd be nice to have some company.
One.
Paul, there's someone in this room.
Oh, there's someone in this fucking room!
Ginny Fields from Friday the 13th Part 2 is my and most fans' #1 final girl. The reasons are many. Ginny is incredibly likable, bright, she's effervescent and friendly, but she's also kind of separate from the other characters, especially the girls. Like when Paul is giving his speech on safety, Ginny could give a shit. She's trying to fix her car. Like I said, there's something separate about her.
Check. Mate. Well, what next? I could get my arm broken by Mark. My brain's ponged by electronical wizard. Or bed.
In fact, Ginny doesn't talk to any of the other girls throughout the entire film. Not one word. The closest interaction with a female she has is when she tells that joke.
Green and red and moves 100 miles an hour. What? A frog in a blender.
That wasn't funny.
Notice how Vicky all passive aggressively is like, ha ha, that's funny.
That wasn't funny.
Vicky just mad because if Ginny wasn't present, Vicky would be the cutest girl there. And she'd be the one that all the boys liked.
Take me on?
Sure. Have a seat.
Vicky nasty as hell. She tell dudes she gonna go wash up before sex.
Sure.
I'll be right back.
And all she does is... That's not washing up. I don't know what that bottle is. Look at that bottle. Is that Deep Woods off? Nah, Ginny don't mess with these broads. She spends time with her man and she goes out drinking with the dudes, or she spends time alone or goes to bed. Ginny knows exactly who she is. She needs no validation from either sex and is the first and most successful character ever to attempt to dismantle Jason on like a psychological
It's like
level.
Kids. Use a little of that child psychology you're majoring in.
Jason! It's all done, Jason.
She's shown to be athletic, resourceful, curious. Ginny knows when to run, when to fight. She's the first person to ever kick Jason in the nuts, and it works. She uses weapons when they are available to her. Even Muffin the dog likes Ginny best. And Muffin is not even Ginny's dog. Muffin is Terry's dog. When they all cuddled around the campfire, look who Muffin's sitting with.
I think I'll stay too. Muffin may show.